Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, welcome to Win with Dice podcast. The podcast all about tabletop RPGs, running them, playing them. Calvin and I are DMs for a couple of years now and played each other's games and has a bunch of games on the go. And we kind of take you guys behind the DM screen and tell you guys about our games and, how we make the magic happen. So if you're, thinking about being a DM, I hope this podcast gives you a little push to show you that it is hard but very rewarding, and it's not as complicated as you think it is. It's mostly lying. You lie to a lot of people.
I mean, that is the primary job of any sort of fiction writer or creator, is lying, basically. Here's this thing that never happened, but I'll tug on your emotions as if it did.
Yeah, and it's like, and the main thing is like, yeah, that's totally how it works. You're right. Like, you've thought about it ahead. It's really just putting the smoke and mirrors up to show that you're like a magician. Like, yes, I've thought the plot through all the way.
Oh, definitely. Thing I always do. For this episode, I have a recap of a Pathfinder game that I want to talk about, and if we have time, we'll stick in some more other topics that we can discuss. And if you have anything in particular that you want to hear about, any other questions or things like that, you can always hit us up in the YouTube comments or on our Twitter at winwithdice. We also have a message box on our website, winwithdice.ca. So you can go ahead and check that out, where you can also see posts from our episodes, as well as some artwork that maybe we sometimes reference, or things that are just kind of exclusive to the site, like those pictures of our Lancer characters.
Yeah.
But before we get into the episode today, we have to start with the most important part of the show, which is the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week.
Yeah, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week, brought to you by Ramon this week. So this is coming off of Matt Colville's 100th Running the Game episode, which I think is kind of bonkers to me that he put out 100 episodes, but we're at episode 73.
Yeah, we're closing in. We're coming for you, Colville.
We're coming for your numbers, Colville. Although he did threaten us with like 5 more Running the Game videos in his last thing, so we'll look forward to that. But yeah, so he mentioned one of his tips that he still believes in, that like he mentioned like right at the beginning, is not pulling the GM screen, not letting your players go behind it and realize that off comment that they said is inspired you to put it into the game. Like players are often pretty smart. I don't know why I said it that way. Often. Not like they're dumb. Often, right? Like, no, they're people and they have great ideas, and your friends want to add stuff to the game, so let them. But he's saying don't let them know that you took their ideas, right? You want to subtly put that into your story, and it kind of brings the magic, right? So it's like they, like the way that they think something works in the world is now what it is, because you never thought about it and you took that idea. But then it's that gratification that you get as a player to being like, oh wow, I'm so smart, right? Which again, I led the intro as in you lie a lot to your players, in a good way, in like a parenting way.
Yeah, sure. I was saying before the show when we were talking about this, like, I'm so torn on this piece of advice, because for me, I like to hear those things. I like to hear how the sausage is made, because when I get into the game, it's my character reacting to things. Like, I do like to be surprised personally. I think I showed that screenshot of me when a certain plot twist happened in the Mutants and Masterminds streamed game on the Untold Stories Project channel. I mean, that's fun, but I like knowing what thought goes into stuff. And that's kind of why I like to share it sometimes as part of why we do this podcast in the first place. But at the same time, I don't want to take away from the believability of the game, or the verisimilitude, if that's the appropriate word here. I want people to be able to feel like they're in the space as they're playing. I want them to be able to feel more comfortable in their characters. I don't want them to keep thinking about, oh, this is just a game where anything can happen and stuff's just being made up on the fly. Because while that is largely the case, I don't want it to feel like that's all there is. because I just want everyone to enjoy it still. I want everyone to feel like this is a sort of an event that we're getting together to do, this game we're going to get to play, this fictional world we're stepping into. I just want it to feel more solid and believable.
Well, that's the thing, right? So if you keep your cards close to your chest and not, it might be cool to tell your players like, look at the smart thing I did, or even be like, hey man, that's a really good idea, right? To really, thank a player for, their input. Maybe do it after the reveal, maybe like even after the campaign, just, reveal it at that point, because it'll keep that bit of verisimilitude. It'll keep the world alive instead of remembering players that like we're all kind of making this up. They get a little bit more invested into the story, and it's less of like they're playing as in like their characters, because sometimes I think Koval mentioned this, that it's like now if they realize that like the DM is just kind of waiting for them to say, or they'll start thinking that, oh, the GM is just waiting for us to say the right thing, so I need to convince the GM to move the plot along, instead of like, no, your character has to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Right. Because obviously, like, if you appealing to the DM is a part of the game, right? The DM lays out what's happening, and you're like, but wait, maybe this could happen, and the DM likes it. A roll is made and it happens, right? It's good. That's the whole point we play these games, because it's fun to interject your, personality, your ideas into another person's world, right? That's the whole point, right? So I totally see the argument, but I also really like showing my players, only because I'm in the business of making DMs, like actually. So being able to, after the fact, maybe like after the session or like a little bit later, I'll just be like, oh yeah, by the way, I just made this up on the spot. You can see how easy it was. Don't worry about it. If you ever want to run a game, like, just make up some shit and people will be happy. 9 times out of 10. But specifically, I think that is also kind of the game that you're playing. I don't know if you like talk to your Draco Coronum players about what you've made up, or how your process is. Because, I mean, obviously, if they listen to this podcast, oh, hey, guys.
I mean, it's kind of it. Like, I don't really have to, because some of them listen to the podcast.
Yeah, right. But that's the thing, right? Some people don't, because they want to be surprised and they don't want to know how the sausage is made. I, for one, love sausages, and I want to know exactly how they're made. I'm very interested in it. So anytime a DM is able to like pull that back and let me see a peek behind his curtain, I'm very excited and open to it. But I think that, this podcast and even just talking to her friends, like, so, for our pirate game, which Rebecca, the DM, that she's running us through her high school game, her venture academy game, she listens to the podcast, right? And so, she sees how really we're kind of just making some shit up and it works. And even that whole table, like you and Rebecca and like, my wife and stuff like that, like the players really enjoy having their input into it. So they'll just spitball ideas to me at the table while we're going. Like, I'll be explaining a scene and then someone would be like, but wait, what if this happened? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty fun. Let's make it happen. Right? Like, but I think that's really just, that group. And I think you could do it with other players, but I think that because everybody's ideas are always so inclusive and kind of funny and a little wacky, everyone kind of gets behind it. And a lot of times it's a good time, but it might not work for your table. It just depends on the people, I guess. Yeah,
this is another one of those things that's like table dependent. So there's no real other way to describe it, really.
Right. But hey, if you got nothing to lose and you're not, you have like a 2-year campaign on the go. If you start something fresh, just try it out. Just ask your players, just set a scene and be like, all right, what else is here? Right? Go ask a player. I often ask my players, what's the name of this NPC? Because I am bad at names. And they give some pretty hilarious names of pretty scary bad guys sometimes. And they're good.
Yeah, like that.
They're real good.
That one dragon.
Yeah, Smithorax.
That's what it was. I was thinking Steve, but it was Smith Orax.
Smitherex for the Smithsonian because it was like a statue of a dragon or something like that. That's where it came from. And Smitherex, the terror, exists now, which I think is both hilarious and good at the same time. Like, it still sounds like a dumb dragon name.
Yeah, those dumb dragons.
Yeah, so that was a little bit long and a little rambly, but that's your weekly GM tip of the week. Let your players behind the curtain, or don't let your players behind the curtain. I think it'll work out either way.
Yeah, so long as you know what the group is into, and it won't ruin the game for them if you let them know a little bit of things. Then
Yeah.
Or you can just find some other GMs to show off to, because I know that's what you really want to do. It's certainly what I want to do.
Yeah, you just want to flex on people. I get it.
I've been doing that every week for over 70 weeks.
Oh my god. All right, it's my favorite time of the podcast is the recap of I'm assuming the Draco Coronum is
yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes. The Dracoronum, the mythical crown of dragons, which this adventuring party is currently on the quest for in a game that I'm running. The adventuring party that was previously named the Icy Pigeons, which I don't know if I ever mentioned on the show.
What? The Icy Pigeons? That's what they came up with?
Well, it's partially because they ran into another adventuring party ways back when we were like playing in person for the first time. They ran into another party called the Flaming Falcons, and that party ended up being it was just like a rival adventuring party, but they ended up being more of jerks than I intended for them to be, so the party wanted a name that was like the opposite of theirs.
Okay.
And I guess it just stuck. Except now there's only one OG pigeon left who has to fight for the name.
Damn, man. Is the Flaming Falcons or whatever gonna show back up? That'll be pretty good. You should have them show up in the most direst of times, like when the party's like about to like TPK, and then they show up and be like, looks like there's only one of you pigeons left, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh.
They're not that mean.
I mean, it could be pretty fun. Okay, you could be really sassy about it.
They're sassy, they're not horrible.
I'm sure you could find the right amount of sass, Calvin. I think
I could balance it out. I mean, it happened accidentally last time, so this time I could do it on purpose. But other than that, the party, sometimes known as the Icy Pigeons, as I refer to them now, was on their way to deal with some other events, which is namely that the patron of a witch character in the party, this patron has summoned this person back for a certain meeting. So last I described what was going on, it was essentially just a travel. The party was just traveling to this small town of Greydrift, and they were along the way. They met this strange woman by the name of Myrtle, who seemed rather suspicious, especially as one of the other riders in the cart caravan that they were in started to become sick. It seemed like they were being affected by nightmares and strange bites that appeared on them. So this session basically started off with them within the town. And at that moment, they were confronting someone who they had met previously. Once they had got there, they heard from some town gossip that there were other people arriving who were members of a family that not many people knew about somehow. So they went to meet with these people because they knew they were related to the other traveler who was acting real weird and had that strange cat who was most likely a magical familiar. And the people that they ran into, one of them was just like this weird looking, very quiet elf. But the other one was this extremely tall human woman who was actually... I'm just realizing how much stuff is like layered on here as I'm trying to condense certain plot things. But
this is like so deep, man. Like this is like some like next level reveal from like last year. Like we've been waiting for this.
Basically.
Us fans.
Yeah, the first time they met this character was like session 14 or 13-ish. And we're now on session 31.
Like 2 seasons ago, dog. Like, come on. Like.
Yeah, that was like several arcs ago. I'm measuring things in arcs now because I started watching anime.
Oh, yes, finally. Did you start naming them yet?
I should. I really should.
Yeah, man, because like a pirate campaign is all in arcs and like Inyan's all in arcs, except arcs are like seasons, but mostly like actual physical seasons. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It just sounds, I don't know, different. But anywho,
yeah.
so to set the scene, as it were, some time ago, the party was in a major coastal city because they were looking for a boat to do some travel because they were traveling, as is the main thrust of my campaigns now. While in this city, though, they discovered that there was a nearby orphanage that had been taken over by a hag and some abomination she had summoned from an alternate plane. They did battle with the hag, they saved the kids, of course, you know, they're heroes. But while there, they did run into the sister of this hag, this tall woman with a wide hat who has nothing to do with Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil.
Of course not. I mean, it wasn't like, that was, all of the internet for a while during that time.
Right? Just zero inspiration at all. I never take inspiration from anything. All of it's completely original ideas.
Of course.
So they met with this person briefly. They did for a moment see through their disguise. Partially because of, like, I was wondering how should her disguise interact with this nullify magic spell? I don't know. Let's just wing it and see, because I like to keep the game moving forward instead of stopping to look up stuff. But they did briefly see that this person was also a hag, just in disguise, and now they have run into them again. And they were able to have an actual conversation, during which this hag revealed that she still was quite angry at the adventuring party for killing her sister, though the only person that was left was like the one druid who's stuck throughout the whole thing. So
shoutouts to that player. All your friends died. Thanks for sticking around.
I mean, incredibly brave.
We appreciate you.
So that one druid, they were having this conversation back and forth, and it was rather clear from the way this woman was reacting. I'm just gonna start using names because I keep like describing people. So this woman by the name of Amélie Lacourbeau, the players could see by the way she was like holding on to the wooden door and how it was like cracking her grip. She was not very happy to see this druid Volzana again. But she was also looking at the witch by the name of Talia, who, and now I have to explain a bunch of things, as I always do when I'm recapping games.
I just have a thought. I'm just going to interject. I just realized that witches are technically Pokemon trainers.
Yeah.
Because, when they start off being a witch, they have to get a familiar, and that's like the source of their power, which is totally what you do when you're 10 in the Pokemon world. You just become a witch, and you're like, hey, take this Pokemon, kid. Go beat up some people.
That is actually very much part of what I was doing, because Talia, who has been having weird dreams ever since this character got here, one of them did involve seeing a bunch of animals, which she quickly learned were the familiars of the other hags in this coven.
It's really good. Wow, Calvin, I'm actually pretty impressed with that imagery, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
I bet you were like in the middle of the night, you're like, I did it.
Yeah. But so essentially with what the player gave me, and this was one of those moments where it's like I am so glad for the group that I play with, especially when they give me a bunch of stuff. Like I like when they make things up on the fly and then they can just take control and I sit back. I like when they just give me a bunch of things that have like a whole bunch of open gaps and spaces, and it's like, let me slip right on in there. So one of those things involved a younger Talia who was I guess I can explain more of her as we go on, because this was I was actually just thinking a bunch of the last few sessions involved a lot of people's backstories because they went to their old like homes and stuff. So
the back to home arc.
This was Talia's moment for that. But it was essentially her going back to where she had come from. And she was a member of the Milborn family, which is a family of they run a major business that makes armors, leather armors in particular. The Hide Forge, as it is called.
Oh, nice.
So she was a member of that family, and she was meant to be married off to a knight from another town nearby. Not a marriage she was particularly happy with, but one that was good for both their family reputation and the business. She was rather desperate to get out of that, desperate to take control of her own life. So after she asked for some advice from an old woman in town, the strange lady told her to head off into the forest. There were some other things that she needed to do there, but it was mostly to ask for help from some of the spirits that listened at night. Unfortunately, or fortunately for Talia, she did get a response. And this was sort of the freedom that I had, because what I really had was it was just something that responded to her at night, this night spirit, something very mysterious. I was sort of leaning into dreams as a major theme of this particular entity. So Talia, after being contacted by this entity, she returned to town to discover that no one remembered who she was. Even her own family didn't seem to recognize her at all.
Whoa! That's it's crazy. All right.
But she had a fox, and she had magical powers. And then, more things went on. She ended up in the Adventurers Guild, and that's how she eventually, cycled into the party. But this was the first moment that Talia was really learning of the extent of what was going on, because she did not know the entity that she had made contact with, or that had given her this power. And that is when Amelie, this massive Anis hag, revealed the name of Mother Nocturnum, the Night Matriarch.
Whoa.
So this was one of the things that I was sitting on for a while, just,
Bruin? Like the Night Mother?
Damn it! They made the same reference! No, I was trying to combine the words nightmare and matriarch, but they don't blend well together. I've only just started playing Skyrim. I don't know what the Night Mother is.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, I accidentally called her the Night Mother at least once during the game. It's not who she is. But Amelie revealed that the Night Matriarch, Mother Nocturnum, had called all the sisters together, including herself, that elf they met, the other traveler, Myrtle, who they had met on the road, and one other person who they had not seen yet. And of course, there was the other sister, the Green Hag, who had been killed way, way back in episode 14. And then she sort of explained, how this was going to work, that they would have to, travel to the Dream Plane to meet with Mother Nocturnum, because that was simply where she lived. The elf was going to handle the travel, but they would have to step into the alternate plane. And Amelie seemed really confused that Talia didn't know much, because from what Amelie knew, Talia was meant to be an important part of this meeting.
Oh, shit. You guys are gonna go into Inception mode? You guys are all gonna have the same dreams?
I mean, it did come up as an idea, so maybe I have thought of that already, and I have stuff in the dream plane that we didn't get to.
Whoa!
But we'll see.
Did the whole party get to go?
Yes, they did.
Whoa! I'm so excited.
So Amelie revealed that the point the goal of this coven is to spread nightmares and fear as far as possible, because nightmares give Mother Nocturnum more power.
Oh, that's like a bad guy thing. Oh no.
It is.
Shit.
She also, because she was able to get a more private conversation with Talia, she mentioned that the party killed one of her sisters for, just doing her job. Even though that job involved torturing children, so they had more bad dreams.
Oh, Calvin, what the heck? Oh, the plot thickens.
It sure does. This was sort of a thing that was kind of on the back burner for a while, especially when they ran into those hags. I had notes on what they were up to, and then I was getting to the point where it's I feel like I have too many threads here. I want to start tying some things off. And I could just I could wrap the players into it. I could bring this all back. I have all these different characters that I wanted to use. I was just really glad to have the opportunity to do so. Some of my notes weren't as detailed as they should have been for how long I had them, but so yeah, she sort of explained what was going on. Talia went back to the rest of the party and explained what Mother Nocturnum was and how she worked, which is when the party figured out like why Myrtle was trying to hurt that dwarf when they were traveling, just to make him feel really bad.
That's why the bad guys be bad. Packs with otherworldly entities, obviously.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
And then they did make some suggestions about doing some Inception stuff, and also warned Talia that she should ask more questions next time she accepts power.
Well, yeah, man. All of a sudden, you're the bad guy. Well, I mean, like, you're all obviously trying to stop, like, if the world is being devoured by dragons or something, then there's no more bad dreams, and, you know, the Night Mother doesn't get her payment or whatever.
Basically.
Yeah, true.
So while there, they also stopped to talk to the elf, Winna, the Winter Hag. I was being real clever with the names for no reason at all, except for one of them. So Winna is the Winter Hag, Amelie is the Honest Hag, Generva that they killed way back was a Green Hag.
Oh, nice. I mean, it's way better than all the names that I came up with.
I actually really liked those, because I mean, your hags are super weird. So, of course, they'd be named, like, Sock and Shoe.
Those are actually my favorite. Sock and Shoe are my favorite. I love Sock and Shoe. I'm so sad that Sock died. And Shoe died. I can't keep track.
I'm not sad because they wanted to drink my blood.
Yeah, that's true. They did drink your blood.
Yeah.
They did. It was very tasty.
I gotta put it back in me.
Well, hey, you'll just make more, all right? Angie went cold turkey, and, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't trust that hag went cold halfling.
Listen.
We'll have to deal with that on our next pirate game. Check out our previous episodes where we talk about the terrible things that Ramon did to my pirate captain.
You're just so easy. Everybody else is such a hero, and poor relatable Helen has to be picked on.
Oh man, she cares too much.
Yeah, there's too much at stake for that lady versus everybody else who's just like, I'm here to like beat up people and take their lunch money.
My entire family is on this boat that we carry around with us as we fight dragons.
I know, everybody else is like, I don't even think about home. Like, I'm having too much fun kicking ass.
Oh, yeah, pirate game. So while there, they did stop to talk to Winna for a bit, who was more open to conversation. She was a fairly quiet person, and I had to do a bunch of different voices for the whole entire hag tribe. But she was interested in talking about like the dream realm and warned them about animated dreams. Gave them some bits of advice. It seemed clear that the party wanted to travel with them, and I was using a certain spell for it, and the spell only allowed up to 12 people, which luckily was enough to fit the whole coven and the rest of the party.
Oh, is it like a coven spell, like a ritual spell?
I forget the name of it off the top of my head. I just recall it would allow 12 people to travel. I just don't remember the name of the spell itself.
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll just ask future Calvin to just put a snip of it in the video.
Sure.
Calvin, take that a couple hours later from now.
Oh, God. A couple hours later. I edit these things on Wednesday morning.
Look. Nice. You hear that, folks? It's fresh. It's fresh every Wednesday.
Right out the oven.
Yeah.
So they talked to her, they got some warnings about dreams, and they wanted to prepare for having to deal with fighting, like, living nightmares. And they would have a few days of downtime in town before they had to head off. Because it had to be at the full moon, obviously.
Yeah, of course. It's all about the aesthetics.
Of course. So they had a few days of downtime, and some interesting stuff came up there. So one person, Edgar the fighter, whose hometown we'd recently been to, he had gotten a rune, I think it was a fearsome rune on his weapon, but he was trading that out for a rune that would let him fight, like, incorporeal creatures.
Oh yeah.
It would take a couple days for that to finish. Some of the party was going to go start doing research on the realm itself. One person decided to just go and spy on Amelie and Winna. Valzana, the druid, decided to do that. So she turned into an insect. Shout out to druids and shout out to pest form.
Shout out to pest form. The most secret spy of them all. Always pest form.
And yeah, she got to see a moment of Amelie having a conversation with Mother Nocturnum, which was not remotely inspired at all by a certain famous scene in Resident Evil, with Lady Dimitrescu having a phone conversation with, what's her name, the evil villain from the game.
The big bad lady.
Yeah.
The other big bad lady.
So she saw that, and she saw that Amelie was basically like tattling on Talia, saying that she's joined this adventuring party. But Mother Nocturnum didn't seem as bothered by this as Amelie was. And then Amelie went to try to get Winna on her side, and Winna didn't seem two-faced about it either. Although Winna did say, like, if they betray the Night Mother, then... Oh god, the Night Matriarch! Damn it!
The Night Matriarch.
Night Matriarch did not roll off the tongue very well. I should have gone for it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Winna did say if they betrayed the Night Matriarch, then she would, take him down. And the thing is, I wasn't sure if the party would fight these hags. I mean, their levels are kind of all over the place, because they're all very different types of creatures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, even one of them on a bad day could be a challenge for the whole party. So, I wasn't sure if they wanted to do that.
Well, hey, man. I don't know. That's what happens when you roll up and turns out your friend's a gangster. And it's like, by the way, you're gonna have to talk to a bunch of bad people now.
Cause any nightmares lately?
Yeah.
So while on downtime, they also did some research. Talia was going to put some effort into learning about like the dream realm and creatures there. And I was able to communicate to them, like, here are some strengths and weaknesses that they have. Here's their resistances and such. You might want to be good at fortitude rolls. So that helped them to prepare for this event, getting certain potions and equipment. But the bard, Randy, because he got a very incredible perception check, he was able to hear some music playing while he was... It was less of a library and more just, like, secretly reading books at a general store without buying them. But he was able to...
Perusing the wares.
Basically. But he was able to hear some music playing as he was doing this, which he went out to investigate, and he found a young man there who was playing music by the name of Darian Milbourne. And at this moment, this is before the party knew of Talia's like entire history. So he met this guy. He said he was part of the Milbourne family. His family's very important in town. His father wants him to take over the business and be a better fighter because, if you're going to sell armor, you got to prove you can use it for some reason.
All right.
But he just wanted to play his music. So
misunderstood.
Randy stopped and helped him out, helped him with some of his composition, just gave him some stuff to practice, and he seemed really happy about it. And maybe that'll come back later because they have downtime for 5 days. Edgar the fighter, he has genealogy and contacts, so he was able to do some research. He was able to make some contacts within the Hideforge business, and mentioned the name of Darian, which maybe got some reaction from other people at the table. The way we were sitting, like I had Talia's player was like sort of right across from me because I had to like turn to see everyone, and there were definitely moments where I was like, did she pick up on the name I just mentioned? Okay, she did. Cool. I remembered the correct name.
I did it. All right. Mission accomplished. Truth bomb exploded.
So yeah, sometime after Myrtle arrived in town, the party was talking to Talia, and Talia did mention that like she came from a very important family, but didn't say specifically who it was. So Randy had asked if Darian was meant to marry Talia, and I was trying not to laugh because they didn't know they were siblings. Like, the rest of the party didn't know. I was just trying not to have a big reaction because I didn't want to give that away. But it was just really funny to me.
Nice. A real like Star Wars moment, eh?
Exactly.
Kissing your sister and all that jazz.
Like, that's the sort of thing.
Know?
It's the sort of thing that if this was written, that question would obviously come up as a joke, and that would be a thing that like the audience knows what's going on, but these characters don't. But obviously, I can't set that up, so I was just really glad that it happened naturally.
Nice.
And that's when Talia finally mentioned that she was a Millborn. Edgar, with his genealogy and a crit on the roll, did some research, so I was able to give him like, here's this entire backstory, but there was no trace of Talia in the books. Which was very strange.
Interesting.
It would have taken a significant amount of power to do something like that.
To erase a whole person's worth of history?
Yep.
I mean, she is the Night Mother of all, so you know what to do.
They did some more research. They found out Talia's backstory. They prepared some spells and scrolls for this encounter. There was a lot of discussion over how to do negative damage when they learned that would be effective. They spoke to Myrtle, and Myrtle was sort of... Myrtle is developing a bit more, but I think at this point it's clear that Myrtle isn't entirely happy with her circumstances, but she's learned to just live with it, or at least she's just settled into it. Because she was saying, like, it seemed pretty clear to her that Talia was sort of in the same position as she was in previously. She tried to give Talia some advice of, like, a certain drug combination that Myrtle used to keep her head clear whenever she needed it to be. Right. If they wanted to go out and find that particular thing, if they found a good dealer for it. And then Darian came looking for Randy at the inn they were staying in. And Darian got to hang out with the party, and he showed them their music playing, and he had improved in, like, the couple of days since he last saw Randy, which I just liked that moment. I liked Talia's player reacting to it. I thought that was really great. I'm glad. Again, I like playing this with this party. I'm glad they're into the game. And Darian also mentioned that the guy that Talia was supposed to marry before she went and got power from the Night Matriarch. God damn it. Night Matriarch. The guy she was supposed to marry was just staying at the Millborn house at the time. And then we sort of time jump to the 12th, because I like to measure my days, which is the day that the party was going to head into the Dream Realm. And we sort of jumped ahead a bit to the location where that meeting would be taking place. And that was when the last sister arrived, a sea hag by the name of Saphir.
Oh, you're going to call her Teagues.
No.
It would have been such a funny moment. You just put Teagues in here.
No, Teagues is a good person.
I mean, sure, okay.
Well,
there's a lot of dead people for Teagues to be a good person.
Relatively. No, Saphir was like the more wacky and energetic one. This is where I was putting all the crazy hag energy into.
Nice.
Also, her familiar was a shark, so she couldn't stay at the inn. She had to stay near the river.
How did the shark swim all the way? So she followed the river all the way from wherever she was?
I mean, she was the last to get there.
Oh, okay. That sucks to suck, Holmes, man.
Yeah, it was really inconvenient. I should have given her like a more amphibious familiar, but I just like the idea of a shark familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. It just seems like this poor shark is like,
just scooting along.
Yeah, just scooting along.
Yeah, no, that's why she stays in the water.
I see.
So they all gathered together in a circle. Winna, the winter hag, she put her staff in the middle of the group, told everyone to put a hand on it, and then the winds began to pick up around them and began to swirl around. There were like these flashes of this purplish and pink smoke that began to quickly surround them. And then as it faded away, it seemed like they were in the same part of the forest, but it was all completely black and white, and the river was running in the opposite direction. And it's
The opposite dimension.
the opposite dimension. It was going along the y-axis instead. It seemed like they had jumped into the dream realm. And they began to travel. And as they went on, different things would appear, like memories from their past, or things they had dreamed of, like the druids, like Valzana's old dinosaur companion, Charles. She briefly saw his claws like appear as gnarled trees out of the ground. Edgar saw his sister sort of like in the middle of being stabbed by her own halberd. Just like these vague... Yeah.
I was like, that's a little ominous.
Yeah.
Like,
it was sort of like,
shit.
as they went through this realm, as I was sort of explaining how the dream realm works, I don't know if this is as written, but this is how it works here.
It is canon for the Dracochronum.
Yes. It's essentially like minds can enter it while unconscious. It can come in and out freely and like change things within it. But if you go in there with your physical self and your conscious mind, you're going to start messing things up as you walk on, and you might attract some unwanted attention from some living dreams.
Interesting.
It's sort of like when you're just dreaming normally, you can just like, you can swoop in, maybe do something and swoop back out. But if you're there physically, it's like stuff's just going to be happening unless you're making the effort to blank your mind.
I see.
So, Amelie suggested that they all split up, because it was like a group of 8 people. And Amelie was like, we're attracting too much attention. We should probably split up if you don't want to like bring anything towards us. Though her motivations were probably not as pure as she implied.
Yeah, of course. I mean, bad girls gotta be bad, right? So
yeah. So they were able to persuade Winna to give them a part of her staff, and Myrtle is the one who went with the rest of the party. The rest of the hags went on their own, but Myrtle wanted to stick by the party. The party wanted Winna to come with them, but like with the check that was rolled, it was enough that Winna was like, here, take this, but she didn't want to go with them. But Myrtle, who wanted to keep an eye on Talia and everyone else, was more than willing to do so. And they began to travel through the forest, and I was going to have this as sort of like a skill check, stealth sort of thing. But then the one who was the druid was sort of like helping guide the players, and then she rolled a nat 20 for the stealth, and I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And then the fighter was like, oh, also I was rolling to assist, and I also got a nat 20, and so I was like, yeah, okay, no one knows you exist.
you're like just exuding all the confidence of killing everything and being a druid. It's like, this is peaceful here. Everything's serene. Like, nobody can even know you're here. It's just you're just too cool.
Basically, like they just stealth their way through it. There was no way that anything could have like really spotted them in the forest with those 2 rolls. I couldn't justify it. And
I'm surprised you used a stealth roll, because not to question, but the idea of like being in a dream world, I would feel like you can't actually hide. You have to like think your way, like think you're hiding. You know what I mean?
I mean, I had already done a will save for when they first got there. So, I don't know, maybe I should have done it again, or should have done more of a skill challenge kind of thing. But, I mean, like, the session ended with them still there, so I still have, like, a bunch of things I can do. I just really wanted to reward them for, like, a nat 20 stealth and a nat 20 assist, because that's very rare.
Sure. No, oh yeah, for sure. Like, nat 20 back-to-back, what are the odds of that? That's crazy.
I was like, definitely, you succeed at anything you want right now.
Yeah, you're 2/3 the way of decapitating God right there. Like
that's like 1 in 400.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, they get to the location, and they were told that they were heading to this manor, the Night Matriarch's manor. And when they got there, it looked like the old Millborn home that Talia was familiar with, but like broken and twisted in certain ways. Parts of it like bent out of proportion or off at weird angles. Like someone's trying to, remember it in a dream or something like that. And while they were there, they got there way ahead of the rest of the hags. So they were able to have a conversation with Myrtle, and Myrtle mentioned like the first time she got here, it actually looked like her old home. With the first time she had seen this place. And then she sort of explained the process of becoming a hag, what she went through. because Myrtle is a blood hag, who have the ability to steal other people's skin, and while under that skin, their true form is constantly in flames. So Myrtle was describing how that happened to her and the sensation of it.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Why would she do that?
She didn't know what she was getting into.
Damn, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, Myrtle was... I'm trying... she's I'm trying to have all the hags be at least somewhat different in personality. And I feel like Myrtle is kind of the... I feel like when I'm the one who's in control of all of that, but... Myrtle is... I think she's made it clear she's not, super happy about this, but otherwise it's well, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna make the most of it. So yeah, I got my skin torn off and I was on fire for a bit. That's just how it goes.
As you do.
So after that terrifying story, the rest of the hags arrived, apparently having run into an animated dream on the way over. At the fault of Saphir, who couldn't clear her mind. But they got to the manor, and they were led in by this ghoulish figure, and they were led to a dining room, which had just enough chairs for all of them. And this is where something very interesting happened. This is where the real world sort of leaned into the game world. Because Mother Nocturnum appeared as this shadowy figure that just sort of appeared at the head of the table, opposite Talia, who was at the other end of this long table, taking the seat that Amelie wanted to take. And yeah, as Mother Nocturnum was starting to talk to them, and had suddenly she did that sudden teleporting thing where something moves really fast and it's a blur and it's suddenly somewhere else and it's standing behind someone.
Yeah.
She had done that to stand behind Talia, and as I was describing as what was going on as she was talking, the power went out.
Oh. Oh no.
So this shadowy figure that had them all in this room together, sort of darkening the room as they went around, it really helped that the power went out.
Oh yeah, totally planned that, guys.
Definitely. I lost my music for a bit, but I think it helps overall.
You should have just picked up your phone, be like, it worked. Everyone would have been like, well, what?
If I had been quicker on my feet, maybe. So the Night Matriarch was explaining what she found so compelling about Talia was a couple of things. One, she could tell that Talia was going to be turning into a night hag, which is what Mother Nocturnum used to be, and one of the more powerful kinds of hags. But additionally, by looking to Talia's dreams, she could tell that Talia was on a path to find the Dracoronum, this incredibly powerful artifact which could be used to spread fear throughout the entire realm.
Ah, I see.
A level of fear that had not been seen since the days of Malvothrax, the evil wizard lich who used to rule the realm and wore the Dracoronum originally.
Oh, I see. So it was the Night Mother benefited from having an evil, lich dictator, right?
Yeah.
So,
largely coincidentally, but it was hey, people are terrified all the time of everything. So of course this person powered by nightmares is going to be super powerful.
Oh, cool. And
she hasn't been that powerful in centuries, so it's hey, this person I've just absorbed into my coven, they're thinking about this thing that was at some point really beneficial to me. So it seemed pretty clear that she had a new favorite daughter.
Nice.
So she was explaining to Talia what kind of power she would have access to. She allowed Talia to cast the level 6 spell Dominate on Amelie, which would have forced Amelie to stand up and walk out of the room. She could have done more, but Talia's a little nice.
Yeah.
Because, well, a little bit. I was sort of saying because there was she did cast the spell Final Sacrifice quite a lot, which while I enjoyed, I really wanted to pull on the thread of that, because it's basically summoning a fey creature and then exploding it to do damage.
It's pretty funny.
And I kept having the same sprite show up each time,
Yeah.
So Mother Nocturnum was like, you have already started causing nightmares. There's one particular fey creature that's been rather uncomfortable since they first met you. And that was just enough to let her use the spell Dominate. And Amelie came back and was super pissed off. Her claws were out. But she wasn't about to do anything in front of Mother Nocturnum, so she just sat back down. And then from that point... So this is a moment where the players kind of turn my words against me. Because Mother Nocturnum wanted Talia to acquire the crown and either return it to her or let Talia use it herself. Mm-hmm. And I probably should have mentioned let Talia use it herself, because then she was able to say, like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do it to the letter. I will get the crown and perhaps use it myself. Not saying what she would use it for or what she would do with it. And I wanted a deception check or bluff check, whatever it is in this game. I don't know. It's all over the place. I probably said persuasion at some point, but it was sort of a lie by omission kind of thing, but it was also partially true enough that I was like, I took a check, but I was like, yeah, you did sort of outthink me, which means you sort of outthought her, which means I can't really justify doing anything really else because you are 4 people who are combined cleverer than me.
That is true. But I mean, let's be real. They had to come to her town with her family, where all the people she used to care about lives, and they're having a conversation in a fake house. I mean, I feel like the Night Mother can probably, like, I don't know, do horrible things to this town if she really wanted to, because I don't know, she's like this crazy eldritch being now.
Oh yeah.
And also she has the what, like 4 hags? I mean, one of them's kind of nice. But, you know, the 4 other hags in the room were just like, lol, we'll just kill you. Like, right. So, you know, the players might outthink you, but you have all the guns. So.
I do. Yeah, I mean, they really got me in that moment, so I couldn't really do anything else about it. But, like, the Night Matriarch has access to Talia's dreams and her, like, mind in general, so... Push comes to shove, but I am interested to see where that goes, because I truly don't know. This was me tossing the ball into the player's court. She threw her character backstory, I scribbled down Night Matriarch, and now I'm throwing it back.
You know what you should have done? You should have just given her, like, a name. Like, something that was, like, old or Latin or something like that, or, like, a mashup of a couple different words or something like that, and then just... reference, like, oh yeah, people call her the Night Mother. But
oh no, yeah, that's why I called her Mother Nocturnum. I think Nocturnum is dream in Latin.
Yeah.
He said as he Googled it. Trying to remember why he did this. Oh, it's nocturnal in Latin.
Yeah, right. So, you know, totally, like, that's the thing with cool, that's why I like cool ancient stuff where you could just, like, it has, like, a proper name. Like, it has a name, it calls itself, and then everybody else calls it something else, and historians call it something else. Like, but everyone, it's all the same thing. So, you know, you could just make a couple of different names, and you can use whatever one you remember the best, and then maybe have the smart person use the long one.
Yeah, certainly. Like, there's definitely more stuff about this person that they can find out. More names they can reveal, perhaps.
I mean, I don't know, man. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm a big fan of it because, you know, me and witches. Like,
exactly. That's largely why Saphir is the way she is, because I wanted to channel that witch energy.
Yeah, like, but I like that it's, you know, there's another big bad on the playing field now, right? Like, you can make a whole, like, again, it's a whole, like, you make a whole campaign out of dealing with this Night Mother situation about how the party has, like, you know, basically, like, one of the bad guys, I would argue, pretty scary bad guys who invade dreams and stuff. Like, that's, like, hard to fight against, is, like, there's a direct link to the party. So, like, somebody can just, like, anything that, you know, the witch in the party knows, the bad guy knows, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, at this point, like, is the party going to exclude her because they don't want her to, like, tattle, right? And also... You know what is also strange? You also have another double agent in the party, right? With Copperfoot, because Copperfoot works for a secret organization.
Yeah, he does. I love secret organizations a bit too much, maybe. Although that one they do like fully know about, so
That's okay. I keep giving people possessed items, so that's what I love to do.
Take one thing
yeah.
and do it different ways a bunch of times.
Pretty much.
So yeah, at that moment, then the rest of the coven was just like updating the Night Mother on what they've been up to. Oh my god, I did it again. Updating. I'm just gonna say Mother Nocturnum on what they've been up to. Like when it was talking about how she's tormented people who get lost in blizzards. Saphir was bragging about like ships gone awry at sea and things like that. And then Mother Nocturnum finished by saying that once the Dre Corona was in their possession, she would gain enough power to return to the material plane and spread her nightmares throughout reality. And then at that moment, that's when the power came back on.
Oh man.
So it's like all the torches in the room come back on and the shadow suddenly disappears.
Nice.
Yeah, I should not have been looking up at that moment because I was right when the power came back, but it's like, yeah. And then the light returns and the shadow goes away and you're just left there.
Nice move. Good pivot.
Yeah, I'm really glad the power company was on my side there.
Made some calls for this very moment. I like to commit when I'm DMing.
It was really complicated to get the timing right. So yeah, after that, Amelie just like stood up and stormed out. Saphir left after her, but thought it was pretty cool that Talia was going to get this thing. Winna just left like as her quiet self, and Myrtle kind of like stayed there with her fingers tented. And we kind of ended the session like there in that room as Myrtle was like studying Talia and the rest of the party. So they're still in the dream realm, so they gotta get out. Assuming the hags are okay with that. One of them certainly seems not to be.
So, okay, all right, hear me out, right? So,
Yeah.
so the Anna's hag is obviously like, no, I don't like that girl. She's a mean girl, right? So she's not into that. One of them's like, the Winter hag's like, oh yeah, I follow the rules.
Basically,
like,
yeah.
I follow the rules. And then I'm gonna call her Mavis for some reason. So Mavis is like,
It's Myrtle, but okay.
yeah, Mavis is like, all right, I like Talia. I totally vibe with her. We're cool, right? And then, you know, the spunky one, I'm gonna call her Spunky, is like, oh, sick. Things are cool now. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's starting to seem like maybe there could be a cool standoff between Talia getting the crown, slapping that thing on her head, and be like, now I'm the Night Mother, because now I would argue that you can have a little coven going on. You got three. If Spunky Girl wants to join the crew, and three's a coven, so that would be interesting. Ooh.
I mean,
I also have this thing with giving players too much power. I'm like, now you're the bad guy.
That would be up to the player, really, if they want to lead in that direction, if that's where they want to go. I won't say no. I'll certainly allow it. I'll see who they can convince. Because I want the hags to have different personalities and motivations, so maybe some of them might lean that way.
I mean, I didn't expect Angie to be a part of the team, but hey, here you go. Abby's, which is kind of cool because I don't know if I mentioned it before, and when we talked about that episode, or in that episode about that session, where like my wife's character wanted to make the boat into like a magical submarine and cast like this crazy spell, and I was like, I'm sure that spell could be cast because, yeah, that sounds pretty cool, but I don't think you're powerful enough, right? So I made her make a spell check, and it obviously wasn't gonna work, but she rolled kind of poorly, and I was like, see, like, you know, you can't do it. But I did tell her like, hey, but you know, you need more than one person. Like you can make like a coven, like it's like a ritual, right? So the more people get involved, the more like it's gonna happen, right? It's definitely a very powerful spell. So I already primed her before going into the coven thing. So when she was there, her first thing that she wanted to do was take control over the coven because she just wants more power. Because I know my wife very well.
Yeah. Coven spells, please.
Yeah, she's like, yes, I can demolish entire continents. Sure, I'll take this. I'll make this hag coven my own. But I was like, I think out of everything, she got Angie. Angie was her Mildred or whatever.
Myrtle. And jeez, you're worse than me and the Night Mother.
I'm so bad with names. So we got that out of it. So I mean, I'm always like, yeah, do the thing that I did. And also Jasper's, I guess, a spellcaster. So I was like, yeah, spellcasters can be. You don't have to be a hag to be in a coven. Like you could just be kind of cool in nature and count.
Just be a circle of cool people.
Yeah, just vibing off each other.
The real coven is the friends we made along the way.
True. I mean, a coven is really just a gang, and a gang's your friends. That's just really what it is. So,
essentially,
it could be a magic gang.
So yeah, they're still in the dream realm. They still have to get their way out. They have to deal with the fallout of this conversation with the rest of the coven, and how the rest of the hags are going to react. I think by now they know what kind each person is.
Oh, they don't know what. They don't know which hag they are?
No, I'm just trying to remember. I think by now they know like what kind of hag each of them are.
Isn't it obvious by like their color scheme? Like
no, because they're using disguises.
Oh, they don't know what everyone truly looks like.
Yeah, except for Amelie, who they did see. But that was ages ago. The rest,
yeah, I would have just color coded everyone and been like, easy for me to remember.
If I could like make character art, then they would be. But I cannot. I can only describe things with words.
True.
But yeah, like I don't know what they're gonna do with them. I don't know if they're gonna try to fight them, because they range from like level 3 to 8.
But can't they not get back because of like they have to get back with from Winna, right?
Yeah, I mean, if something happens, they'll have to find another way out.
I see. Interesting. Cool. Well, I don't know, Calvin. I'm always really impressed with this game. This campaign's nuts, and every time I'm always like at the edge of my seat hearing you tell me what's going on. So I could just imagine what the players at the table are experiencing.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad they're enjoying it. I'm also getting into like all the cool planar stuff, which is I've been wanting to do that forever.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to reference some old things. There was one point when they were like looking through the books that they found one with a name of a of a wizard that they met in like, God, when did they meet that guy? I don't know. We were still playing in person when they met him. It was like session 5 when they met him.
Wow. Damn, man. You gotta go to the Wayback Machine for that one.
Yeah, I had to look way back. Let's see, one of the books that they were looking at on different planes was written by him.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, this is like again, like that's why I just like playing in this homebrew world, because details that I made for like I need a wizard in this town. I needed to have like this connection. So here's his backstory. Here's what he's an expert in, and then now I can go back to my notes and be like, oh hey, I have a guy who knows about planar magic. And they're researching planar magic, so one of these books is written by him. That's just the thing. I don't know. I really like doing that, and I'm glad when people pick up on it, because it is at least it's like 50% for myself, and then the rest of it is split between believability and for the rest of the party. But like, majority of it is it's for me.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's nuts. I think that we're like completely different DMs for sure, which I'm glad I'm doing this podcast with you because we get both of our perspectives. I'm always down to like I don't think I do everything perfectly, obviously, and I always want to try and strive to make the best game I possibly can. But yeah, like I don't even I can't remember anyone's name all the time. Like I mostly just make up stuff on the spot. Like, it's crazy, and I can't believe you guys are having fun. So it's always surprising me when I hear your game, and I'm like, what? Calvin, this is a novel. What do you mean you're building reveals from, like, season 3? Like, what? And I'm like, I can't even remember, like, the name of the NPC I just made up. Like,
yeah, I write things down kind of extensively because I don't want to forget them. But I will admit, though, like, there was a lot of stuff that happened that was kind of by the seat of my pants. Um, there was one moment I went to the washroom before the game, and like a lot of what happened was figured out then. I won't say how much or what, because I don't want to pull the curtain back all the way, but
Nice.
there are definitely things there that was like, oh, okay, now I have something. And yeah, it was a really fun game. I don't have much else to say about it. We sort of used Foundry. We didn't really get into combat, which I've been wanting to get back into combat with this party because it's been a while since we had a real good fight. But yeah, I basically, like, I left my computer at home running with Foundry on so we could connect to the server with my laptop.
Okay. Nice.
But it worked, so no complaints here. Other than that, that's all I really have left to say about this game.
Yeah, wow, it was a pretty big update apparently because we basically talked about it the entire show.
Weird. It did not feel that long, but I guess it was a bunch of stuff in downtime, so...
Yeah, I've been meaning to get back into playing our Inion campaign, and I did mention to everybody I don't want to start the next leg of this without doing everyone's backstory and the backstory, everyone's downtime, right? And I've only done your downtime. Only done Macy's downtime, which was spectacular and actually worked out cooler than I ever thought would actually happen. So I'm more confident in doing it. So I definitely want to organize and get myself going for that, because some of my players is like, I like robots, but you know, it would be nice to sling spells and stuff a little bit. So gotta go do that.
Yeah. Hopefully we can, and we'll have time to get back to playing all the games you like to play, and even in person, whenever possible.
Yes, whenever possible.
But I think that's gonna be it for this episode. If you want to know more about us, if you have some specific topics that you want us to cover or talk about, or if you want to say some interesting stories from your own games, you can drop them in a comment below, or you can head over to our website, winwithdice.ca, and send a message over there, or you can check us out on socials at Twitter, at winwithdice, rather. On Twitter, at winwithdice. Gosh.
Just at Twitter.
Yeah, just at Twitter. It'll get to us eventually.
Yeah, of course. So they'd be like, oh, you mean these guys?
I do want to give a shout out to some people. First off, Shaka's Field Guide to Unfukane, a Lancer like setting or add-on that you can add to your Lancer game that includes like narrative details of the setting as well as a LCP file to put in your CompCon, which you can use to get the different mech editions from this setting. I was just looking back at it again recently, just rereading some of the stuff. It's like, I know it's really well written, so I just want people to check it out, like in general.
It is crazy good, and also I believe he just put some talents, its own homebrew talents in there. I think he mentioned it on Twitter. I'm not sure if it's in the update of his PDF, but yeah, it's good and it's well written and it's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
So definitely go check that out. Also, I was listening to the Replay podcast, which is a podcast that he was on. That's why I had it in the brain. But it's sort of about talking about like underrepresented gamers in the like game dev and tabletop RPG space. Just interviewing different people, and I've heard a lot of things and interesting thoughts that I hadn't thought of before. And maybe some spaces that I want to look into in regards to game dev. So yeah, definitely go check out the Replay pod. We'll also have a link to that below. Even though we have not spoken to them directly, so hopefully they're okay with this. I just want people to check it out. I think it's a really good podcast. Also, shout out to Celeste's Lancer RPG NPC guides, which are different guides and some mini adventures that focus on specific Lancer RPG like NPC types and archetypes and how you can use them with others. These are some things that I definitely need to read because I wanted to get into running Lancer next year.
Do it.
So I'm not there with the system yet. I'm like I'm at like a good enough to play kind of knowledge. I'm not at a good enough to run kind of knowledge. So these are hopefully gonna help.
I really want desperately my Space Coronum.
That's what Starfinder was supposed to be.
Well, you could do it at Lancer and it'd be pretty fun. you can make like the Draco parts like pieces of Voltron or something mech related. That'd be pretty funny.
Maybe. Oh yeah, like an Exodia mech.
Yeah. Get all the pieces together, and then it just obliterates the universe. Yes. Maybe I'll do that. Don't take my ideas.
Sure. Additional shout out to the Untold Stories project, where I'm hanging out every week playing Mutants and Masterminds every Monday. Gosh, our most recent episode, I don't want to spoil too much, but there was a moment where the evil triple wizard we were fighting, they managed to send us, we were just supposed to go to another dimension, but we ended up going back in time in that other dimension because this evil triple wizard, and then we were trying to get rid of them because they were infecting the planet that we were on, so we had to go underwater with these stone giant dudes, and then we went to see the spirit of the planet, and the spirit of the planet was corrupted, and then one superhero punched it so hard that its spirit popped out.
What?
Oh my God.
You're a dude with a bow?
Yep.
You're literally Hawkeye. You're just like, this is weird.
I mean, to be fair, it was the necromancer superhero just kind of like in the body of the flying brick superhero because of magic shenanigans.
So it was like a combo.
Yeah, it was like a combo, and yeah, they punched it so hard their soul flew out.
God, this is intense.
I love superhero stories.
Go watch that shit if you're still listening. It sounds ridiculously awesome.
It is. I also played Things from the Flood, which is like a 90s sci-fi kind of thing that had a really great ending, which I don't know if I'll put another screenshot of my shocked face on there, but there's another shocked face. And by the time this episode goes up on Wednesday the 15th, I'll be playing, what is the name of the game? Crash Pandas, which is street racing raccoons, basically.
Nice. Whatever that means.
It means the party is a bunch of raccoons, and your goal is to win a street race.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's very straightforward.
I mean, I hope there's a lot of cool racing stuff to pull from, so I'm sure it'll be fun.
No, definitely. I wanted to watch F9 today because I still haven't seen it yet, like ridiculously. But work was kind of a lot, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, be sure to check that out. That's just another place where I am. And also our gaming streams. I unfortunately wasn't able to get to them this week, just because I've been super busy. But next week I should be back and better than ever with some Outer Worlds and some Skyrim. But the playlists are linked below if you want to catch up before that.
Nice.
And I think now that covers everything.
I think we should probably move these to the front because this is getting longer and longer, and there's a lot of cool stuff here. People should be hearing this first. I think.
I don't want to send them away before they listen, but also, yeah.
That is true. Maybe we'll figure it out. But hey, thanks for listening. If you're all the way at the end, you're awesome, and you're my favorite person.
Yeah, and if you've made it this far into the episode, then you know our most important piece of advice that we love to give every week, and that's to keep on winning with dice. And we'll see you next week.
All right, see you guys.